Let's talk about feeding your puppy. Your puppy has been fed a diet of Life's Abundance all stages dog food. It's not the puppy food, but it's the all stages dog food. Not the grain-free bag, but the one that has grains in it. Um, and there's a couple different reasons why we've chosen this particular food. One of which it is a dog food manufacturer which has so far never had any recalls on their food. But they also have a system in place to notify their clients should a recall happen. Our dogs and puppies have done fantastic on it. It's one of the higher rated dog foods that are available out there. And I highly recommend that you stay with this particular company. If you haven't already done so, be sure and watch the video on our recommended feeding page on the website. The video is very informative. If you ever decide you need to switch dog foods because your vet has recommended it, it'll really help you to be able to pick what to look for and to be able to pick a suitable food that would be good for your puppy. So we have been feeding the puppies. Basically, when I have a puppy in a litter, I am free feeding the puppies. We have them outside all day long, and when they're in a litter, they're romping and playing and exercising, building all those muscles as they develop. And we free feed the puppies. However, when you get your puppy home, you do not want to free feed your puppy. The more times a day your puppy eats, the more times a day your puppy poops. The more times a day your puppy poops, the harder it is for housebreaking. If you read the back of the dog food bag, and maybe even your veterinarian might even give you the advice to feed 3 times a day, I still prefer feeding twice. Now, when I feed them twice a day, I want to make sure that they have as much food as they actually want. So what I'll do is I'll first put down the recommended amount of food, and if my puppy eats all of that food within, 10 or 20 minutes, I'll go ahead and add some more food to the bowl. I want to make sure he's getting as much food as he needs if I'm only going to be feeding him twice a day. I like to feed them their dinner as early as possible. I'll typically, when the puppies are out in the pen and I've got the litter here at my house, I'll typically pick the food up between 5 and 6 p.m. So that there's enough time to get all of that food out of their system before I crate them at night, so we have a nice dry and clean crate in the morning. I leave water out, but I will pick the food up. So if you can feed your puppy at the earliest time that's convenient for you, that's when you want to do it. Don't wait until 7 p.m. to feed dinner. If you don't get home from work until 6 p.m., that's fine. Go ahead and, your puppy will get used to your schedule. One of the things that is very unique to Life's Abundance is that they actually have what I would call a feeding system. There's only so much nutrition that they can pack into a piece of kibble, have it bake up well, and be palatable for the dog to where the dog wants to eat the dog food. So what Life's Abundance has done is they have created these other products that actually go with and complement their foods. When you're using their training treats, they're getting certain nutrients that would be in addition to their food. If you use their wellness supplements, it's made specifically to go with their foods, which is very advantageous. I like the whole nature of this product and how it works together. I also highly recommend that you do give your dog supplements throughout their lives. Supplements are very important, and while I happen to really like this particular brand of dog food, it's still dog food. It's not what dogs would be eating naturally in the wild, and so there's going to be certain things that are going to be different. And when a dog stays on just dog food its entire life without supplementation, I do believe that they are missing out on important nutrients. So I highly recommend that you either go with the wellness tablets that Life's Abundance has, or your puppies have actually been given, since I've been feeding them, we've been giving them the powdered Nu-Vet vitamins. There's a link for that on the website as well. I highly, highly recommend that you continue to use this. The supplementation helps fill in the immunity gap that puppies will experience once the mother's immunities are starting to wear out from their body and before their vaccines take hold. And I even, for the dogs that I keep and that live in my home, I give them joint supplements throughout their entire life. Um, I highly believe that inflammation, as we all know, is a precursor to many different illnesses. In humans, it can run the gamut from heart disease, joint problems, Alzheimer's, just all kinds of things. The root of many diseases is inflammation. Um, and by giving my dogs supplements that contain some joint supplements in them, it helps to keep those joints free of significant amounts of inflammation throughout their life, and hopefully actually preventing and helping to prevent degenerative joint diseases. Where feeding is concerned, I also want to mention that the first year of life, probably the first 9 months of life, your puppy's going to be growing rapidly. I don't typically find that I have to worry too much about the weight of the puppy when they're growing. However, you want to make sure that you can always feel your dog's ribs without having to push in real hard. Dogs are lucky. You know, we can maintain our dogs at optimal weight by how much we feed them. I wish someone fed me that way. I wish I didn't have to make that choice of, having something that I probably shouldn't have. But there is no excuse for us to have dogs that are overweight because we're literally putting the food in their mouths. It doesn't even require self-control on their part. So just always check your dog and your puppy while they're growing. I'd rather have a dog on the lean side than a dog on the heavy side. It's hard on their joints. It can actually create hip dysplasia. And numerous other illnesses can happen, just like in humans. So take the time to really pay attention to your dog. Make sure they're getting good exercise. Walks are great. I happen to think fetch is the most fantastic exercise for dogs because they're getting hard, almost like HIIT training, HIIT exercise classes, fast running and then pausing and bringing the ball back and resting a little bit for recovery and going back out again. Our dogs who we have played fetch with year after year after year for 15-20 minutes a day, they're 14 and 15 years old and they're still playing fetch. They're definitely slower than they used to be, but they are still active dogs, and I am a firm believer that a lot of it has to do with diet, supplementation, as well as intense exercise. So get those chuckets out, train your puppies how to retrieve and bring the ball back, and let's keep them healthy. Where feeding is concerned, I also want to mention that the first year of life, probably the first 9 months of life, your puppy's going to be growing rapidly. I don't typically find that I have to worry too much about the weight of the puppy when they're growing. However, you want to make sure that you can always feel your dog's ribs without having to push in real hard. Dogs are lucky. We can maintain our dogs at optimal weight by how much we feed them. I wish someone fed me that way. I wish I didn't have to make that choice of, having something that I probably shouldn't have. But there is no excuse for us to have dogs that are overweight because we're literally putting the food in their mouths. It doesn't even require self-control on their part. So just always check your dog and your puppy while they're growing. I'd rather have a dog on the lean side than a dog on the heavy side. It's hard on their joints. It can actually create hip dysplasia. And numerous other illnesses can happen, just like in humans. So take the time to really pay attention to your dog. Make sure they're getting good exercise. Walks are great. I happen to think fetch is the most fantastic exercise for dogs because they're getting hard, almost like HIIT training, HIIT exercise classes, fast running and then pausing and bringing the ball back and resting a little bit for recovery and going back out again. Our dogs who we have played fetch with year after year after year for 15-20 minutes a day, they're 14 and 15 years old and they're still playing fetch. They're definitely slower than they used to be, but they are still active dogs, and I am a firm believer that a lot of it has to do with diet, supplementation, as well as intense exercise. So get those chuckets out, train your puppies how to retrieve and bring the ball back, and let's keep them healthy. Let's talk about housebreaking, everyone's favorite topic. Housebreaking is probably the most challenging thing that you're going to do with your puppy. Um, it can be frustrating, it can be time consuming, but I can tell you that the time that you put into it now, particularly over the next 2 months, will have big payoffs for you in the future. Um, I've kind of changed the way I housebreak puppies just in this past year because I had a puppy that I had bought, and my methods for housebreaking her that have worked okay for me for the past 15 years just totally failed with this particular dog. Um, and I ended up going on to a website called Avidog. This is a website, a company that's made specifically for breeders to assist us in developing really good social puppies and dogs, among a variety of other things. Anyhow, they do happen to have this one product. It's a housebreaking program that they have made available to all of their constituents and their clients, meaning you guys, that is available. And I went to them when I was having so much trouble with my sweet little Sky. Sky was 9 months old and she was no closer to being housebroken than she was at 9 weeks when I got her. So anyhow, I am a big, oh, you know, that probably comes in backwards. So this is the Avidog, it's called the Puppy Potty Training Solution. And there's a link on the website under the recommended products where you can download it. At the time that I'm making this video, they have it on sale. I think its normal price is, I think, $99. It's on sale for $37. I don't know when you're watching this video if it will still have that sale price, but even at $99, it was the best investment I had made in my puppy. And I'll talk a little bit about it. The main gist of their housebreaking is that you need to confine your puppy. Your puppy will housebreak as quickly as you are diligent to never allow it to have an accident in the house. Now, this is easier said than done depending on how many distractions you have. Sometimes I'm really good at housebreaking, and other times I just stink at it. And most of the time, it mainly has to do with how many distractions I have going on. Do I have young kids that I'm focusing on? I forget about the puppy, blah, blah, blah. Anyhow, we have a couple of products that we use with the puppies that I highly recommend. Julia has added links to the website, like Amazon links, so you can see exactly what they are. We try to keep them updated. If you click on a link and it doesn't work, but you can just search for it and find it, and that'll be fine too. One of my biggest helpers is the Iris pen, and it's basically like a puppy playpen. So when I have a puppy that I'm housebreaking and I'm going to be busy and I can't keep my eye on that puppy 100%, the puppy goes into this pen. Now the pen is a small space, and puppies and housebreaking are very size related. It's similar to the crate in that if they have too much space and they can potty in one corner and sleep in another in the crate, they will do that. And you'll know that there's just too much space in the crate. Well, the same thing is true with housebreaking. If they have access to too much space in your house, it's going to be very difficult for you to housebreak your puppy. There's a couple different methods that I use for this. One of them is tethering, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. But so what I like to do is first thing in the morning when I take the puppy out of the crate, I will pick the puppy up if it's very young, and I'll carry it out into the yard. I'll set it down in the grass. I make sure that I always have what I call high-end treats in my pocket. A high-end treat will be something really special, like leftover chicken or steak from dinner the night before, maybe some little pieces of cheese. I also like to use dehydrated liver. Oh my gosh, any one of my dogs will do anything possible to get the Life's Abundance turkey hearts. They're expensive, but they break really easily. And when you're giving your dog, rewarding them with treats for a new learned behavior, whether it's housebreaking or teaching them tricks or just basic obedience, you're going to be giving them a very small piece. So it's about the piece, you break off a piece about the size of a pea. Now, when I'm doing housebreaking, I want my puppy to get why I'm taking them out on the grass. And so I give them what I save the thing they love the most for housebreaking. So I'll take the puppy out of the crate. I'll actually carry the puppy out and set him in the middle of the grass. And then I use the command go potty for peeing. I use the command go poo-poos for pooping. Now, you can teach your puppy to poop and pee on command very quickly. It's amazing how fast they learn this, and it's worth your while to do this simply because those times when you're trying to get out the door in the morning to go to work or you're going to an event, you want your puppy, when you take him outside to go to the bathroom, you want him to know what he's out there for and to do that before he does anything else. So by using these target commands when your puppy's going potty, you might take them out and they might pee, but they didn't poop. And you know it's first thing in the morning and you're trying to get out the door to go to work or someplace else, and he didn't poop. To be able to say to your puppy, hey, go poo-poos, and have them like run off and go poo-poos is like the greatest thing in the world. So be sure and pick your commands. You can use whatever words you want, just be consistent with them. Once I set my puppy in the grass, I tell them to go potty. They're going to go potty pretty quickly because they've been holding it all night long. So I just kind of pay attention to them out of the corner of my eye. If it's in the summertime, I might pull a couple of weeds. And I wait for the flow to stop. They're going to pee first. And once the flow stops, you're going to have the biggest party you ever had with that puppy. You're going to have a potty party. Good boy, good girl, go potty. Give them love-ins and pop them a treat. Go potty, good girl. Really reward that. And then because it's first thing in the morning and they've been crated all night long, you're then going to say, okay, go poo-poos. Pooping takes a little bit longer. They kind of have to get moving just to kind of get things flowing, just like we do in the mornings. So give them a couple of minutes, but they're generally pretty quick. It's usually normally it's within probably about 5 minutes. But I do not bring a puppy inside until it's pooped first thing in the morning. Otherwise, he's going to poop in the house. Oh, I forgot to mention too. The reason I tell you when they're peeing to wait until the flow has stopped before you praise them, because if you distract them while they're peeing, they will stop peeing and guaranteed will come inside and finish it within a couple minutes of being in the house. Now, some puppies are walk-in peers, and they will pee multiple times before they're finished. Not all of them are like this, but many of them are like this. So I like to stay out for a little while and just notice as your puppy gets a little bit older, if your puppy pees and then, a minute later pees again and a minute later pees again, this is actually a pretty normal puppy behavior. If you find that your puppy is peeing and then you come inside and he pees again inside, he's probably a walk-in peer and he just didn't get it all out of his system. So just stay outside a little bit longer. So now my puppy is peed. I'm going to look at my puppy and say, okay, go poo-poos, and I'll go pick some weeds. I don't follow my puppy around, but I do watch my puppy. And once the puppy gets in that squat position to poop, it's very interesting. You can talk to them while they're pooping, and once they start, they won't stop. So for me to get them to associate the words go poo-poos or whatever words you want to pick with the act, I will say it while they're pooping. I don't do that while they're peeing, but only when they're pooping. And I'll just say, oh, kind of calmly. I don't have a party quite yet until they're finished. I'll say, oh, good boy, go poo-poos. And I'll just kind of start walking towards my puppy eventually when I think they're finished. And I give them the treat and we celebrate. We have a big poopy party. Good boy, go poo-poos, go poo-poos. I want him to know how excited I am every time he goes potty outside. We don't celebrate if they potty inside. I just scoop them up and take them out. I also don't punish them if they go potty in the house. In fact, if you come across a puddle or a pile in the house, just slap yourself on the hand, say, whoops, I'm going to do a better job next time and watch you better. Or if I can't watch you, I'm going to remember to confine you in your playpen. Um, so, where did I leave off? If there's one thing that one piece of advice that I could give all of my puppy buyers, is to start early with socialization and training. I can give you an awesome puppy, but it's up to you to turn that awesome puppy into an awesome dog. Um, you are constantly training your dog. Whether you realize it or not, you are training them. And you're either going to be training them good habits and good manners or bad habits and bad manners. If your dog develops some bad habits, you're the one to blame. And it has to do with, I don't mean to say that as like pointing a finger. I've certainly taught some of my dogs bad habits. And I'm okay with some of those bad habits because it just happens to be things that we enjoy doing. But on the other hand, dogs learn by everything you do. A good for instance of that is, say you come home in the evening and your sweet puppy is so excited to see you and she's jumping on your leg and she's just so happy to see you and you're happy to see her and her excitement about seeing you makes you excited. But if you bend down and you pet that puppy and you give that puppy love and attention when it has just been jumping all over your legs and being a little overkill on the excitement when you walk in the door, you have actually just trained that bad behavior as something being positive in the puppy's mind. You have reinforced that behavior. So just be careful what you're reinforcing. Ask yourself, continuously ask yourself, is this something that I want my 50-pound dog to be doing when I come in the door? Do I want my 50-pound dog to be jumping on me? If I'm outside and I'm going to a wedding and I'm dressed in white pants or a white skirt, do I want my dog with muddy paws coming up and jumping on me and ruining my outfit? Probably not. So it's very, very easy when you first get your puppy to just not let those bad habits ever start. If you don't reinforce them in the beginning, then they won't take hold. I highly recommend, if you're struggling with some of this and you kind of just don't really know what to do, if you're a first-time dog owner, highly recommend that you, maybe the first week you get your puppy, have a dog trainer, hire one to come to your house and work with you in your house. I wouldn't use that as I would still go to puppy kindergarten and puppy obedience classes where you're training with other dogs in a classroom setting. It doesn't replace that, but it will help you to understand early on how to train your dog to do the things you want them to do instead of the things that will be bad habits later that will make them not such a great dog. One of the methods that I kind of stumbled upon just by accident one time because I was rehabbing a fear-biting dog is tethering. Tethering is phenomenal, and I don't know why more trainers don't grasp onto this in training classes and tell their people to do this at home. Tethering your dog to your side has a way, in a very positive manner, without any sort of negative correction whatsoever, of teaching your dog to follow your every move. It automatically makes you the pack leader without ever having to ascertain, can't think of the word I'm looking for, without ever having to be forceful with the dog or do the belly rolls or back rolls or whatever sometimes that you commonly hear of. I don't really think they're very effective, but tethering is incredibly effective. Some of the things that I've seen take place with tethering is a dog who walks perfectly on a leash without pulling. Please teach your dogs to walk on leashes without pulling. If a dog is pulling on the leash and you follow behind it, you have reinforced pulling on the leash and you have actually trained them to pull on the leash. There's all kinds of little things that we train our dogs to do just because of lack of knowledge, just because we don't know we're reinforcing it. When you take your puppy on a walk, the walk is about you. It's not about the puppy. Um, and what tethering does, well, let me explain to you how to do tethering. I will take a small leash and I talked about a little bit in the housebreaking section. I will tie it to my belt loop. I'll make sure that there's just enough length on the leash that the puppy has enough room to lie down on the ground. But if I step like, a foot to the left or a foot to the right or forward or back, the puppy has to get up and move with me. I will tether my puppy to me when I'm doing busy work, like unloading and loading the dishwasher, where I'm moving around quickly and without much warning. Now, I ignore the puppy when I'm tethering them. If I have to put a glass away and I'm walking over to the glass cabinet and the puppy has lied down, I just walk. If the puppy doesn't get up and walk with me, I don't acknowledge the puppy. I don't coax the puppy to come. I don't say, "Come here, baby, come here." I don't do any of those things. I just walk and drag the puppy. I mean, it doesn't take very long for the startled puppy who doesn't understand what's going on to like stand up and follow behind me. I do make sure that the puppy his countenance is good and it's not looking scared or happy. One time I had one puppy who was about 11 weeks old when I was doing this, and she just kind of got this countenance on her that looked like, what have I done wrong? And all I did was I bent down and I reassured her, "Gemma, you're a good girl, you're doing good." And then she was like, "Oh, okay." And she was fine after that. So the whole point of tethering, what tethering does is that dogs have the ability before sometimes we even realize we've given them a signal that they're moving, they can tell by a shift of weight, slight change of position, which direction you're moving in, and they are capable of following you in that direction. I will tether a puppy to me, and I want to say usually by the end of the first session, which is, I don't know, maybe takes me 15 minutes to unload the dishwasher, that most of the time that puppy is following my every move, and they're not resisting, and suddenly I'm really important to them. They are paying 100% attention to me without being rewarded. They just become in tune with me. And I find I don't ever have to leash train a puppy that I have tethered. I'll go to puppy classes and oh my gosh, all these dogs are pulling their owners all over the place. I can just hold my leash like this and I walk around and my puppy walks right at my side. Never pulls. And the funny thing is I've never had one single trainer look at me and say, "This is a 9-week-old puppy. How did you do this?" Sometimes I wonder what's going through their head, but I just kind of giggle inside and I ignore those leash training tips that they give because this is the #1 way to leash train your puppy.